5:30 this morning. So
From who?
that's Prashant.
Got it. I'll print us up the agenda. Okay. Here we are. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and folks online. We're getting this hybrid meeting protocol dialed in. Didn't really have any major hiccups this morning. You know the drill in the room. We're under COVID protocol, so we're wearing our face coverings. You folks at home don't have to do that. And you folks at home, if you step away, just turn off your camera. We can see everybody online. So this is very good. And with that, I'm going to welcome our president. Please welcome Rob Ross.
As you probably tell from my voice, I have a cold. I do not have COVID, but I just didn't want to get anybody sick, so that's why I'm at home today. Our theme today is good eats. I actually am curious what you guys come up with this, because as most of you know, I'm on a pretty strict diet, so you'll probably get me hungry with all of the good eats. I see that we have a guest this morning, Helen. Very quickly, Helen, just tell us how you found us.
Oh, hi, Helen Josephine. I'm president and VPE of A31 Storytellers. So I know some of your members from other organizations, and plus they've been part of A31 Storytellers like Tom and back in the day, Ken. And I'm investigating along with Tom how hybrid meetings work. So I thought I would join your meeting as an attendee to get it from that point of view. So that's why I'm here today.
Wonderful. Well,
Well,
welcome.
thank you.
Now at this time, I will go ahead. We do have an IT this morning, our inspirational thought. I will turn the meeting over to Dax to inspire us this morning. Is he here? Sorry. I don't think Dax is here. Okay. Maybe later we'll get inspired with what Dax has to say. For now, I will go ahead and
You can ask Tom about the inspirational quote.
oh, Tom, did you have an inspirational thought for us this morning?
I do.
Awesome.
Good eats. Our topic, I mean, what a place to be in. Santa Cruz County is a perfect place to experience good eats. We've got organic food all around here. We've got quite a wide range of selection of restaurants. Whether you decide you want to go to them or not, we're not going to as many as we used to. But this is the place, I think, to experience good eats, but not just here, the Bay Area. If you're looking for wonderful ethnic food, make a trip over the hill. It's definitely worth it. Whatever your style, Indian food, Asian food, Mexican food. So I just encourage everybody to enjoy what we have here in Santa Cruz County and nearby. Have good eats and live well and prosper. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, or Mr. President.
Thank you, Tom. PA, sounds like you have some education awards for us this morning.
Yes, I do. And Mr. Zoom Master, may I have the screen sharing ability, please? Here we go. All right, so we have yet another completion of a pathways level. And today I am pleased to announce the completion of level 2 by our president, Rob Ross, who gave us a wonderful presentation last week on mentoring. You too could achieve a level completion either this Toastmasters year or next Toastmasters year. So congratulations, Rob, and let's continue the momentum. Back to you.
Thanks, TA. Super excited. All right. I think I got all my items out of the way. Thank you for that. Now I will turn control of the meeting to our Toastmaster for today, Prashant.
Thanks a lot, Rob. This is my first time doing the Toastmaster meeting in this club. And I just wanted to tell you, I got so much of help from all the people. Really like to thank, and what I'm trying to do right now has been just with the help of all the people, Rob and our general evaluator, general evaluator Brian, and I got like all the emails answered so quickly. So thank you for that. And as I was listening to Tom about the food in Santa Cruz, I am so excited that one of these days I'm going to just go up the hill, stop at the mystery spot, and then go to Santa Cruz and then have wonderful lunch or dinner over there. The food is really great over there, no doubt about it. And you can also go to the beach. Today we have our full agenda. So first I would like to invite our word master, Kathy.
Thank you, Toastmaster Prashant, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and thank you for joining us as well, Helen. Our word today is ambrosial. It's an adjective. The definition is extremely pleasing to the taste and smell, delicious, fragrant, worthy of the gods, divine. An example in a sentence would be, my brother's maple syrup is ambrosial, syrupy with honeyed maple and scented with sweet maple sugar. Ambrosial. I will listen for each of you to use the word today as an adjective describing extremely pleasing to the taste and smell. Thank you. Back over to you, Toastmaster Prashant Bhatnagar.
Thanks a lot, Kathy. Our counter is Chia Kawahara. Chia.
Hello, I will be counting your R's, and I am surprised that I'm being called on at this point, but I will count your R's, and coughs and double starts. Back to you, Prashant.
Oh, okay. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I got to go through this through the meeting agenda. I'm going to now call 1 minute Toastmaster, who's Steve Liverman. Steve.
Good morning, Toastmasters and guest Helen. The one nice thing about going to the meeting physically is you get a chance to really wake up. I hope you're awake, at least when you're driving. When you're at home, you could just roll out of bed and get up and join the meeting. But I wouldn't recommend that. I suggest get up maybe a half an hour in advance, eat some ambrosial food, and walk around, get the blood flowing. Sometimes when I have a speech, I even get up earlier and practice my speech a couple times. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, now we can't start the meeting without a humor. Our humors for today is Mark Lipton.
Prashant, well, thank you, Prashant. As most of you know, I've spent most of my career in the amusement park industry. Last couple decades, we're at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. People come to the park for a variety of reasons, but one of the most important reasons is the food experience. The food you would describe as ambrosial, from the scent of the candy to the deep fried hot dogs. It was just, well, most anything there is either deep fried or chocolate covered. But each spring, it is extremely difficult to have full employment because kids are still in school. And so when we open for that time, as schools are out and in, office staff is asked to work on the as line employees. Every year since I started in the industry, that's common. But I had no fear at all when I was asked to work in food service. I was vice president of marketing, one of the top people in the park. I make critical decisions, spend lots of money. How hard could it be working in food service? There I was, Barbary Coast restaurant, fry station number 2. My supervisor, 16 years old, was instructing me on what to do. Now you need to, you're in charge of the corn dogs and fries. You just put the fries in, press the button, pull them out, shake them, and it showed me how to do it. That was pretty easy. Then he expanded. Now, when you see the crowd and we start getting a rush, look and anticipate what they're going to order. Well, I'm not psychic. How do you anticipate what they order? So I'm doing it. And they're coming in and I'm throwing things in. I thought I was doing a great job until my supervisor, 16 years old, looks me in the eye and says, I don't care who you are or where you work. You got to get the same number of fries in every fry cup. Am I to count the fries? The intent was they have to look the same so people don't think they're getting good stuff and bad stuff. After that experience, I was relieved to go back to my calm office environment where only I have to make critical money decisions, staffing decisions, and not work under the eye of such pressure of people wanting food now. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mark. Now let's introduce the general evaluator for today. And general evaluator is Brian Morrisey. Brian. Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Prashant. I am the general evaluator today, and I'd like to introduce the helpers. My role as general evaluator is to go through the meeting, make comments, make sure everyone's doing their roles correctly, and just see how the meeting went overall. Today, my helpers are timer, Miguel Rebollar. My counter is Chie Karahara. The grammarian today is Ashley Wow. Ashley never confirmed, believe she. You here today, Ashley? Oh, grammarian. That is due to my late realization that I was general evaluator.
I can do it.
Okay, great. We have Vicky Asanto as our grammarian. Vote counter, we have Scott Bradley. And I will be back later for the evaluation portion of the meeting to introduce our evaluators, Rob Ross and Jane Hwang. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Back to you, Toastmaster Prashant.
Thanks a lot, Brian. With that, we will start with our prepared speech section. We have 2 speakers lined up. The first speaker is Laurie Bradshaw, and she's going to speak from Leadership Development Level 1, Writing a Speech with Purpose. The topic is, what's in your garage? What's in your garage? 5 to 7 minutes, Laurie.
Have you ever felt stuck, unhappy with the way your life is going, not satisfied with your job, Like your finances aren't where you think they should be. Or relationships, maybe they're not quite what you would like. Stuck, restless, unsettled. Sometimes there are things in our way that are blocking our progress, barriers that are keeping us from getting what we want, things that are beyond our control. But what if we look beyond those things we can't control and focus instead on the things that we can? Maybe you're thinking, I'm not sure I know what those things might be. So I have a few things I'd like to share, and I'm going to frame them in a little bit of an analogy. To begin, I'd like you to take a moment and think about this question. What's in your garage? No, seriously, think about it. Close your eyes if you need to, picture it. What's currently in your garage? Think about a traditional garage. It's built for your car and maybe a few other things. Is your car in your garage? The garage is a box that's been provided for your car. Is it in there? Is there room? We're trying to get ahead in our lives to reach our goals and find our happiness in our path, but we don't realize the things that are in the way. We don't realize why our car won't fit in our garage. Is your garage full because of things you've put there? What are you putting there that maybe you shouldn't be? Throw out the old boxes, the ones that hold the old things, the things that no longer serve you. What things do you have control over? Things you should be removing, things that are holding you back, things that are keeping you from what you want and what you deserve. It was only when I let go of who I always believed I was that I was able to get a degree and build my career and grow as a leader. It's your garage. Recognize that you have control over what is put in there. Are there things in your garage that other people have put there? Maybe a neighbor who said, can you just hold on to these few boxes for me for a little bit? And they've been sitting there for 2 years. Things from your past, hurtful words from someone you love, the mean things, the past hurts. They're taking up room in your garage and in your life. Sometimes there are people that we've just outgrown. Some relationships need to end. They're toxic. They're just taking your energy. When I let go of the hurt from my past, it truly became my past and no longer my present. And then I was free to move to the future. I was unstuck. Self-awareness about what's happening and making a decision to change is one way to get there, to clear the path and get unstuck. It's your garage. You have the power to let go of things that others have put there. Maybe it's just the wrong garage. If you have a small one-car garage and a full-size SUV, it doesn't matter what's in your garage. You're never going to get that SUV in there. Maybe it's time for a different car or a different garage. Sometimes fundamental changes need to happen in our lives because the current situation is no longer what we need for it to be. A new home, a new career, different friends, lifestyle changes. I've left relationships. I've moved 2,500 miles, all in search of the right garage for me. It's your garage. If it's not the right garage for you now, you have the ability to make those changes. If your goal is to get the car into the garage, to make changes in your life, to get unstuck, be aware of the things that hold you back, especially those things that you have control over, things you've put in your own way, things that you have allowed others to put in your path, or things in your life that no longer suit who you are today. Look beyond the things you can't change and find those things that you can. Have the courage to remove those barriers. So I ask again, have you ever felt stuck? Take a minute and think about what's in your garage. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks a lot, Laurie. Let's take a minute to write feedback for Laurie, and you can actually directly send the feed on the chat. Is a minute over already? Okay, just let's go a few more seconds. Okay. Our next speaker is Gale McCreary, right? Hopefully I spell it right. She's speaking from the humor pathway using presentation software. The speech title is Air Travel Then and Now. Air Travel Then and Now. Timing is 5 to 7 minutes. Gale.
This is odd. You're looking at a little camera, but you're all over here and you're all over here as well. Good morning, Toastmasters, and good morning, welcome guests. I'm talking about travel this morning after having taken my first trip in a long time and getting my travel outfit on. Now, the key to a travel outfit is pockets. You want pockets everywhere, pockets for pens, pockets for glasses, pockets for passports, pockets for keys. The key is get yourself a pair of scrubs. Maps, they are full of pockets. So I'm wearing my new travel outfit, feeling very good about this, going through the TSA line, wearing my mask, trying to remember where my boarding pass is now located on my phone. And when I get to the line, I've got this clever little wheelie rollboard thing that goes onto the rack. Heave that on there. Everyone's going through this scanner, but they say to me, come here, you can go through this one. Yeah, you don't need to take off your little travel jacket. Oh, how nice. March through that. And on the other side, I say, you know, why did I get to go through there and everyone else is going through here? They said, well, you are over 75, aren't you? I need a different travel outfit. The next time on the way back, I'm wearing my leggings. Got my hair loose and free. Got the kind of lower plunge top. I get through the line, I put my rollerboard onto the little rack. I walk up, everyone's going like this, and they say to me, you can go this way. What? But do you have any prosthetic devices? So I'm going to talk about travel the way it used to be, because this kind of travel, it's either me or it's this travel, but it's very different.
Are you ready?
I am ready for this PowerPoint. This is so great. I have the county supervisor of schools helping me with my PowerPoint. Great. Travel was luxurious. And although there was passenger travel before World War II, it really blossomed after World War II. People got dressed up to travel. They got full cocktail service. The stewardesses cooked the food in the galley and brought it to the passengers. Smoking was allowed, but seatbelts, you didn't have to worry about those. And to entertain themselves on these very long flights, they played cards. The stewardesses played cards with them. You got little travel bags. You got chewing gum, because not necessarily was your plane pressurized until the Stratocruiser. The first flight, 1947, San Francisco to Honolulu, only 10 hours. It was pressurized and air conditioned. And in those days, the flight was $5,500. I mean, in our taste today. But it was a new standard for luxurious travel with extra wide cabin, gold appointed dressing rooms. And if you took the sleeper version, only 28 passengers in berths. The flight version allowed for 62, 80 passengers seated. And that entertainment was not the little screen behind your seat, but the other passengers, because you were all traveling in luxury. This is my mother, Pan American stewardess, loving the life. The inaugural flight to Honolulu. She was carrying apples to the islands and featured with that. She played the ukulele so that she could play for passengers. And she didn't just go to Hawaii, she went around the world in the good old DC-4. It took a week. And she stopped at all of these places along the way. And you can imagine at the age of 24, she was having a very good time. She did have to maintain her weight. She could not be over a certain height. Her hair had to be according to company policy, and she had to be bilingual. Her name, when she applied to Pan American, was Helga Giesvecht. And they said, you know, we just finished with World War II. And if you have your little badge that says Helga Giesvecht, they make the passengers happy. So why don't you change your name and reapply? She was Helen Stevens. Today, casual attire, security screen, face masks, although it's now optional, but I'll certainly be wearing mine with all those people. There is no smoking and you have to wear your seatbelt. But people can't take you to the gate and you can't greet your friends when they go. You do, however, have personal entertainment. And then there's the screen. However, you can still get around the world. It takes about 45 hours. And depending on whether you get one of these package flights, and did you know you can buy a round the world passage ticket? They had discontinued those for a while, but now you can actually book on, say, Emirates or one of these, like the one flight travel groups, a ticket that takes you all the way around the world for as low as $2,500. You can go economy. Have to wear your seatbelt. Might not have as much room as you did in the sleeping berth on the Stratocruiser. Your meal would not be cooked in the galley, but it would get you there. Or if you wanted to up it to old days flying, you could always go first class. And if you were flying on Emirates, you would get your own private sleeping booth. So enjoy your next trip wherever it is. And consider getting yourself scrubs if you want to get through the fast line in security. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Gale. Let's take a minute to write feedback for Gale's speech. And also, if you can vote for the best speaker and set it to Rob. With this, I'm actually going to I'm going to give the control to our table topic master. Our table topic will be table topic master for today is Ken Braley. Ken.
Still doing a lot of juggling here in hybrid land. Our theme is good eats, and good eats lends itself to many, many, many fun topics for table topics today. So my first question, you are dating a new person or you're inviting an important client over for a home-cooked meal. What do you fix for them? GA.
Thank you, Ken, for that question. If I'm inviting someone important, I'm going to make a dish that I'm familiar with and not experiment with some new recipe that I found because I don't want to mess it up. And I have done that in the past. But let me tell you about this delicious, delicious meal that I tasted last night in my dream. There were desserts of all kinds and also really good potluck spread. It was amazing. And it was Kathy Bagel that was telling me, oh, you should try this. You know, I just made this and blah, 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 blah. And I was going, really? Wow, this is really amazing. And somehow her house had turned into this little structure where there were these rooftop observation deck where you can look over the water and see this amazing light show. And I thought, wow, Kathy and Scott live in this really amazing place and they have all this amazing food. I need to come over to their house more frequently. Well, I did dream about Kathy and Scott and this amazing food. And I wonder if she'll invite me over someday. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you. And GA, the next time you have a background like that that you want to put up, I think you need to be here in person and provide us some of those goodies. When it's a very special occasion, make it an anniversary or something you want to absolutely special, and you want to go out for a very special meal, where do you go? Steve Learman.
Where do I go? Well, recently there's been a couple birthdays in my family. Both my daughters have birthdays. My youngest is May 19th and my older one is June 7th, just a couple days ago. And we go to this one restaurant quite often. It's called Sabiang. It's in Santa Cruz. It's a Thai restaurant, and they really enjoy that. So on their birthdays, they usually request to go to Sabiang, and they did that as well this year. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Have you ever written a Yelp review of a restaurant, either good or bad? And if you haven't, tell us about a review you'd consider writing. Tom Ginsburg.
Yes, I have. In the past, about 15 years ago, I got into Yelp and started leaving a bunch of different reviews. It's fun. I mean, as I mentioned, there's a lot of good eats in Santa Cruz, but one thing that I've found is that there is not a lot of consistency. You could go to a restaurant and have a wonderful experience one time. You can go another time, forget it. I'm never coming back. There are so many restaurants that have crossed off of our lists over the years because when the inconsistencies happen more often, or rather the poor service happened more often than the good service or food, it was time to call it quits. So yes, I've left some really good reviews. And I've left some not so great reviews. There used to be a sushi restaurant called Pink Godzilla on 41st Avenue. And when the original owner, Mitsu, had it, it was wonderful. It was a great value, so many different roles. He was so interactive with the customers. And it was a wonderful experience every time we went. At some point, his son took it over, and I believe he wasn't quite as enthusiastic about being in the restaurant business, and it showed. So there was the time we went and we ordered oysters. The oysters smelled like bleach. We did not put those oysters in our mouths. In fact, we sent them back, and the waitress said, someone said the same thing about the oysters yesterday. And I was thinking, these probably were the same oysters that were served yesterday. So of course I had to share that experience. And as usual, it was done in such a style of describing how it was a great place to begin with, and it had gone downhill. And I'm sorry, people, you need to know about this. So yes, I think Yelp is good if you can filter through the reviews that you can tell are honest. And just like with any kind of review, the ones that are done poorly or that you know are just amping up their friends, forget those. But yeah, so Yelp is there, and I left my mark. Thank you.
Where did you learn how to cook? What do you remember about learning how to cook? Miguel.
I'll go up there, yeah? Here. Thank you for that question. Here's the thing. Don't know how to cook. But I can tell you guys a new thing that me and my mom are trying. And one of in the Mexican household, we call it as far as their cooking style, they call it el sazon. And el sazon is just that touch of the grandmother touch of extra salt or extra pepper or chiles, whatever. And my mom has that sazon. So every one of us has our own little sazon. And what me and my mom are doing is to keep the tradition going for her dishes, passing it on from her to me, is every Monday I go over and we cook. So I am learning how to cook now, especially starting off with my favorite dish, enchiladas. And so what we do is we gather around the kitchen. We put a camera going with my phone, and we record ourselves making the food. And we're doing this just so that our traditions and her cooking sazon gets passed on from her generation to mine, and so on and so on. So I'm learning. I don't know. But yeah, thank you for that question.
I hope we're all having an ambrosial experience this morning. Comedian Rita Rudner says that men like to barbecue. Men will cook if danger is involved. Tell us about your barbecuing experience, Mark Lipton.
My barbecue experience. Like most guys, I like to burn food outdoors. But what I really like, what I discovered was smoking food. I mean, not smoking like Santa Cruz smoking food, putting it in a smoker to cook the food. And I found a device called a Traeger smoker. You put pellets in it, you plug it in, it augers the pellets at a certain rate to just keep the smoke going. You put your marinated meat, your chicken, whatever inside, and it takes hours. And you can't destroy food that way. It's actually, the longer you cook it, the better. So you put it on. You need a couple beers while you're doing this, maybe watching a game, and you have wonderful food. I found smoking brisket is wonderful. I grew up with brisket, but Jewish brisket, which means you cook a poor quality meat, long time in the oven, and you somehow work your way through it and you smile at your mother or grandmother and tell it how good it is, even though it's not. But brisket can be wonderful if you barbecue it. And you barbecue it 12 hours long and it just falls apart in your mouth. So yes, I do have a favorite thing to barbecue or to smoke, to be proper about it, brisket. Mr. Table Topic Master.
What food do you like as an adult that you did not like as a child? Helen, Josephine.
Thank you, Ken, for the question. I can't really think of anything that I didn't like as a child that I then started liking. Because the things I didn't like as a child, which tended to be way overcooked vegetables that came out of a can, green peas, green beans, Brussels sprouts, are still horrible when they come out of a can, but they're quite wonderful and delicious when they're right from the farmer's market and you steam them at home and eat them when they're fresh. And I think folks in my generation really suffered from the canned food, frozen food revolution that our mothers relied on to feed their children during the 50s and the 60s. And I'm so glad that now we have so much access to fresh food and farmers markets so we can really appreciate vegetables and fruits as they are meant to be eaten. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Some of you may remember the 1973 Woody Allen movie called Sleeper. In it, a guy who ran a health food store was cryogenically frozen and woke up 200 years later. And when he woke up, he asked for wheat germ, organic honey, and tiger's milk. One of the observers said, yes, those were thought foods that he thought were healthy foods. And the other doctor said, you didn't ask for deep fat steak or cream pies or hot fudge? Those were thought to be unhealthy, precisely the opposite of what they had discovered in 200 years. So what foods would you eat all the time if there were no unhealthy consequences? Kathy Daigle.
Thank you for that question, Ken. Food. I do like to eat. I do love food. Sorry, Rob. We're going to talk about some chocolate maybe, or food that I tend to eat and eat really with no stopping, unless of course I have my intentions to put that bag of chips away, that kind of thing. So I didn't see that movie, but I am of age, so that's kind of a little surprising to me. I do like some of the other topics, so I'm going to pivot just a little bit on my ambrosia, food, tastes, and delicacies. I liked the rooftop dining. Chie's dream was really interesting to me because I think where we eat enhances our experience and the food, how it tastes, how it may even be prepared given the venue and the environment. So I envision our rooftop. Now we don't have a flat roof, Chie, so it's going to be, a little slanted up there, but we could create Adirondack chairs. I just spent a week sitting in so many Adirondack chairs. The angle is just so cool. So if you put it on a slanted roof, you could go this way and actually have a flat surface, even though you're leaning way back in that Adirondack chair. It could be quite comfortable. So we could have a barbecue. Scott's really a barbecue master. And we even use dried apple wood sticks and some wood as a flavoring, similar to Mark Lipton's smoking technique, but without a smoker, just, a Weber, that kind of thing. And we might have organic vegetables all sauteed and steamed together. My sazon, if you will, would be from grandma's and great grandma on my mom's side as we bring the vegetables out of the root cellar in the winter to add to our winter barbecues. We have all fresh food and the little spices add so much. And of course, the table that goes with the Adirondack chairs have candles. Rooftop dining, a decadent ambrosial opportunity. Back to you, Table Topics, Ken.
There are all kinds of diets. There's the keto diet, the Pritikin diet, the Atkins diet, Mediterranean diet. Have you ever followed any kind of diet or particular food plan? And what has been your experience of that? Barris.
Thank you, Mr. Table Talk Master. I like to talk to you about eggplant. Not quite a dietary, not quite a diet as the question is, but it was something that came to mind as we were thinking about ambrosial foods that we've experienced as we've grown up. And one of the most cherished memories of mine are being in the kitchen with my mom as she was teaching me how to cook eggplant. And I come from a Palestinian background, and so eggplant is an important part of the diet. Although my kids actually hate it, and haven't been able to get a lot of people to enjoy it as much because it is kind of people easily love it or hate it. And I learned so much from my mom. There's 11 different kinds of eggplants that you can use to cook from. There's male and female eggplants, and if you want more seeds, you get the male eggplant. If you want less seeds in it, you use the female eggplant. But the combination of being able to come together and break bread with friends and eat something that connects me to my past and to my mom, who I lost a few years ago, is something that really is something that one of the pleasures of life, I think. And I continue looking at different kinds of recipes that I want to use. So maybe I could win my kids over one day. So that's eggplant is the diet of choice for me. Actually.
Eggplant. What is a special food that you looked forward to when you were a child? Dex.
Okay.
So, special food that I always look forward to was ice cream. And every time my aunt came over,
which was about once a week. We'd go over to the ice cream at Mary Ann's, and I'd get, well, when I was younger, I was really into green tea. So I'd get a little green tea ice cream, a little bit of coffee ice cream. I've graduated to mud pie. But every single week I remember I would take ice cream. I think I called it, I couldn't pronounce it when I was really young. So that's one thing. Another thing would be donuts and cereal. And it had me thinking about your question on diets, because I tried the keto diet for a good 3 months and it really worked. I lost like 30 pounds. But if you know anything about keto, it's like strictly carbohydrates, like the lack of carbohydrates. So your cravings are so strong. And all I could think about was ice cream and donuts and pizza and burgers, all the carbs I wanted. So one day, it was my birthday, and I'm like, I'm going to do a cheat day. And I thought about when I was a kid and everything that I ever wanted. So I went and got ice cream. Then I went to the grocery store and I got a couple of donuts, and I said, you know what, that's not enough. And I went to Domino's and I got a big medium pizza with pepperoni and jalapenos. And then I said, you know, I still have a bit of a sweet tooth. I went to Penn Station, I got a big cookie. So after that, I mean, I was so stuffed, but my dad came into town and I had to get a huge steak and a little bit of dessert. So if you're gonna do dieting, I would steer away from the keto diet because it's just craving central. Thank you.
Thank you. I always like the seafood diet. Seafood, eat it. Please vote now for the person you felt did the best job with table topics. Send your remote vote to Scott, and if you're local, put it in the basket when it comes around. We had Chie, Steve, Tom, Miguel, Ferris, Helen, Dax, Kathy, and Mark as our speakers today. And I'll return control of the meeting to our Toastmaster, Prashant.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for bringing that ambrosial experience about food delicacies and food items from all of us. Really, really great way to really good work in the table topic master, as a table topic master. With this, I'm actually going to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, and our general evaluator is Brian, and he's going to start with the evaluation section. So Brian. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Prashant. Doing an awesome job at Toastmaster your first time. For our evaluation portion of the meeting, we're going to start with our evaluators, reviewing the speeches. Our first evaluator is Rob Ross, who will be evaluating Lloyd Bradshaw's "What's in Your Garage" speech. Please welcome Rob Ross.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going to make a small pivot. Timer, if you could just put a pause. We have a guest that popped in, Harry. Harry, are you there? Could you just give us a brief summary of, like, real quick, as how you found us at Toastmasters? Did he just pop off? Are you there, Harry?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, it's hey, I recognize you. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
And so you give us real quickly a synopsis of how you found us. I can't remember. I think you were here last week.
Well, hello, my name is Harry from South Korea, and I was finding an online meeting that I can join at around midnight in here, which is a very good time for me to join a Toastmasters meeting. And I happen to find here, maybe through Meetup, I believe. So yeah, thank you for having me here today.
Awesome. Welcome, Henry, again. Okay, Mr. Timer, I'm back. Let's go here. There. Lori, thank you so much for, as always, a great speech. When we chatted, I asked you, is there anything more than just the general evaluation sheet that you gave me? And you asked if to watch for the analogies to make sure they worked and that the transitions back and forth were smooth and easy to follow. Yes. The analogies were great. They allowed us the ability to really dig deep at what's going on with our lives in comparison with the garage, and the pictures flowed really well together. Your transition was great. You started us off with questions, which I think is very powerful, with either when someone starts a speech with a story or questions, something to capture the audience, so that way you bring us in to your tale, whatever it is that you're going to bring to us. And in that, with those questions, you really got us to get more engaged. Okay, where are we going with this? Okay, we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about what's missing. We're going to try to figure out what these barriers are. Then you transitioned us into the analogy so that we got a better understanding of kind of where you were going with this. I like the one, why won't the car fit in the garage? I think we can all relate to that. Is it we have too much junk in our garage? Or is it because our car is too big? And if that's the case, then what do we do to change that? Your hand gestures, well, let me take a step back. I liked your background because I think it went well with the garage theme. And what I liked was that you did a 2/3 shot so that we could see, not just your head, but we could see your body. And so we could see your hand gestures. And I was listening to one of my audiobooks yesterday, and they were doing a study of TED Talks and how some are more powerful than others. And what they found was that the ones that were more successful, one thing that was similar in all those really great speakers was they had 2 to 3 times more hand gestures than the speakers that weren't as good. So I thought that was very interesting, because you do a lot of hand gestures to give us an idea of different timelines or pointing to us. So you brought us in with that, and you do a really good job. For myself, I need to work on that, because as I was reviewed last week, it can also be distracting if it's not done correctly. You had great vocal variety, so that kept us in the theme, going back and forth. I said your transitions were really well, your analogies were really good. You really got us to think about our own selves and what kind of clutter we have in our garage. Items to work on. Your glasses were picking up a glare, and I think it was from your light. It wasn't huge, but if we're looking at opportunities to just fine tune our speeches, that's one. I think that, and it could be wrong, I think that you moved your mouse a couple of times, so maybe you were still, you had your speech down, but you were kind of still looking at your notes. I couldn't tell that from your eyes. I could just see from the hand gesture. So if that was the case, just because I'm watching everything you do, I caught some sort of movement. It kind of threw me off just a hair bit. As I said before, I really enjoyed all the transitions. I think those were the 2 small things. You made us self-aware. And then what I like is you always leave us with a little something. And in this one, you said, have you ever felt stuck? Take a minute, look into that. You don't just close, you kind of bring us in, you leave us with an action item. I always think that's a very powerful thing. You start powerful and you end powerful. I don't know where I am on my timer because I don't have it on my screen, but I'm probably done. Thank you, Larry, for your speech.
Thank you so much, Rob, for that excellent evaluation. Our second evaluator is Jane Hwang. She's going to be evaluating Gale McCreary's speech, Air Travel, Then and Now. Please welcome Jane.
Hey, good morning, everyone and guests. Gale, what a great, timely story as people are traveling again. And I just got an alert saying COVID testing to re-enter the states is being lifted. I'll send you the link for your upcoming travel. I know when we spoke, you had asked me to watch out for a couple of things, most importantly, incorporating visuals as part of your storytelling to support and enlighten us as we follow your journey on your story. And thank you for that. I thought they were absolutely fabulous. What I loved about your speech was your intro. Your experiential opener was really funny because your body language and your facial expressions really brought me to that moment. I could just feel that sense of being called out at the TSA line, being pulled over, and then you're surprised as to why am I here? And then to be kind of told something that maybe you didn't really need to hear at that moment. So that was really funny and humorous. So I thought even from the get-go of your story, you really nailed it on the humor and how you reacted to what was happening around you. So that was great. And in terms of your slides, which you had asked me to watch out for, your choice of imagery was on point. As a visual person, I really enjoyed that, especially the photos of your mom. What an awesome, awesome personal connection. That was really unexpected for me anyway. I don't know that. And to see flight attendant Helen Stevens, and she's your mom, on back in the day was so brilliant. I loved it. I would have liked to see more photos of her, maybe an anecdote from her to kind of really nail the fact that you had this personal connection with her. I think would have just been a little extra to kind of contrast her era versus the very different way of flying today, where everyone's basically in their pajamas, versus people who were flying in suits and they wanted to look a certain way. So I think that would have been a really fun contrast. The only other thing that would have been fun for me is to kind of have a consistent template on your slides, maybe at the bottom, at the lower third, kind of a chyron of a little plane as it's moving from one era to the next to kind of tell us what era you're in, to just kind of carry it as a visual through line and thread through your whole presentation. But all in all, super timely, super humorous, great use of visuals. And I had a great time listening to your story. And hopefully you are well on your way to your upcoming travels. Thanks.
Helpers. First, I'd like to have everyone vote for your best evaluator. I'll give you a minute. While we're doing that, maybe we can get going with our reports here. Miguel, how did we do on time today?
Got you on the report here. Sir, I realized that I had my mask on when I did my table topics. God bless you with my face. Cool, on time. Starting from the top, I'll work myself to the bottom here. Inspiration of thought, Tom, 56 seconds. Toastmaster, Prashant, 1 minute. Wardmaster, 1 minute, 5 seconds. Kathy, 1 minute, Steve. You're under 4 seconds, 56 seconds. Humorous, Mark, 2 minutes, 56 seconds. Sorry, Brian, when you came up to do your general evaluation.
I haven't done it yet.
But sensing it, you did well.
Thank you so much.
Let's see here. Going to our speakers. Lori Bradshaw, you were at 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Way to go. Gale, you were at 6 minutes, 36 seconds. Way to go. For our table topics, Chie, 1 minute, 39 seconds. Steve, 46 seconds. Tom Ginsberg, 1 minute, 35 seconds. Miguel Rebollar, 1 minute, 35 seconds. Way to go. Mark Lipton, 1 minute, 40 seconds. Helen, 1 minute, 17 seconds. Kathy, you were at 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Ferris, 1 minute, 23 seconds. Dax, you were at 1 minute, 52 seconds. And for our evaluators, Rob Ross, 3 minutes, 39 seconds. 39 seconds over, Rob. And Jane, you were at 3 minutes, 9 seconds. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that effective timer evaluation. Miguel. Now I'd like to move on to our Oz for the day. Always interesting and challenging. How do we do on our Oz today, Chie?
Congratulations to the following: Mark, Gale, Ken, and Tom. 0. No ahs, ums, or other utterances. There are two types of filler words or sounds that I like to call your attention to. One is what we sometimes call a lip smack or clicks, like making sounds with their mouth. And these are two people who really favored these sounds were Steve and Kathy. I invite you to watch the video and notice how and when you make those sounds. I also invite the two people that's had the most ahs, Prashant and Miguel, to watch the video and notice how Tom suppresses his filler words. He actually did a really nice job in his IT where he said something, something, so. And rather than saying something else, he just paused, just swallowed his filler word and continued on. I think it's a really nice technique. There are two people that had very varied distribution of their filler words of so, and lip smack. And there were Ferris and Jane. And the rest of you had a little bit of filler words here and there. That concludes my counter report. Back to you, Brian.
Grammarian, thank you so much for our step in. Grammarian Vicky Asanto, how do we do on our grammar today?
Good morning, everyone. So good to see all of you here in person as well as online. I like to look for sentences or phrases of sentences that I like. Chie, in referring to Kathy Daigle in your dream, I just made this and blah, 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 blah. That was wonderful. Tom, so yeah, Yelp is there. Miguel, so here's the thing. I don't know how to cook. And you also just said, so I will bless you with my face. And Mark, I love this. I grew up with brisket. I know what you meant, but it almost sounded like brisket was a sibling. I grew up with brisket. And Kathy, you said rooftop dining, an ambrosial and decadent experience. You really painted with your words, painted the image with your words. And Dax, you mentioned something like eat all the carbs I wanted. And Jane, at closing us off, what an awesome, awesome, awesome personal connection, referring to Gale's speech and her mom. And I turn control of the meeting back to you. All right.
Thank you so much, Vicky. Excellent grammarian report. And now for use of the word, I feel has been used quite a bit today. How do we do on our word of the day, ambrosia? That's not even the word, but Kathy, how do we do?
Thank you, Brian. We did fairly well. About 1/3 of us used the word of the day, and that includes Steve, Mark, Ken, Ferris, Prashant, Vicky, Brian, I'll give it to you, and myself. Back to you, Brian. Thank you.
Ambrosial, that is a word that I've never used before today. I will start my general evaluation report. This space is awesome. It's nice being here. I can't believe the attendance today, just to see how many people are online as well as here in person. And to have 2 guests today is extremely challenging to get guests these days. But thank you so much for Helen and Harry for coming today. Excellent. And our inspirational thought, good eats, excellent choice, Tom. So many good places around Santa Cruz. The smooth transitions, I thought were going well. Between the awards and the online presentations. Prashant, you did a great job for your first time as Toastmaster. I've done the same thing, pulled everything out of order, and but it was smooth. You're a natural Toastmaster, I think. The word of the day, ambrosial, everybody used it that I could tell. I thought it was one of the most used words that we've ever had in Toastmasters. Excellent choice. I'm quite the lover of maple syrup myself, coming from New England. Kathy, I know you went on about the syrup. Our 1 minute, wake up, move around. It's always tough to do. I kind of rolled out of bed and got here, so I understand, Steve. This is pretty important. And our humorist, I was always wondering how they do count the fries to serve up there. Lori's speech, I know I'm not supposed to talk about speeches, but I love the way, like Rob said, he had the two quarters length, I think is the way you phrased it. And it just made the speech, enhanced the speech so well. Table topics, excellent job, Ken. Really great questions and getting a chance to get around to everybody, getting to our guest today. I was worried with Prashant's first time being Toastmaster that we're going to jump right into the evaluations and right after the speeches, but it's great that this all having table topics after the speeches and giving the evaluators more time is definitely effective. But I would say maybe on the agenda to change that around. So table topics is before evaluators on the list, just so there's no confusion. One thing about the timer, it's tough for me to see it in person. I don't know if we need something more apparent while we're here in person. Trying to see it on the screen during everything going on is I think a little challenging. I'm probably pushing my time already, but GA table topics, hilarious, bring Kathy into your table topic. Steve, I love to go to Sabiang as well. And Tom, your review on Yelp. I've done a Yelp review that wasn't so flattering about finding a twist tie in my burrito. Miguel does a beautiful story about cooking with your mom. My mom doesn't cook, so I never had that experience. I gotta try that smoker, Mark. It sounds really good. And Ellen, your distaste for canned veggies, I totally agree. We have farmers market. Living in Watsonville, I can't believe how cheap the vegetables are and how fresh. No reason for canned veggies. And doing my lip slaps, smacking GA. It's good I had your evaluation go before me. Eggplant, I love eggplant. I love Chinese eggplant. It's so tasty, and my wife hates it. Everyone who I know hates it. I think the evaluations went really well. Rob, you found some good. I liked how both evaluators started out addressing the evaluators' focus first, what they talked about before, and so they gave themselves enough time to address what the speakers wanted to work on. Both evaluators did that, very effective. And good with challenging. Both evaluators had good observations, challenging each other. And I will wrap up my general evaluation, and I will turn control of the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Prashant.
Thank you, Brian, for the wonderful, wonderful feedback about the meeting and for each of the individual that spoke in this meeting. With that, we had been waiting for who actually was the best table topic master, evaluator, and speaker. I don't have the votes, but let me ask Scott. So the best table topic goes to?
Kathy.
To who? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, the best table topics is Kathy Daigle.
Hey, Kathy. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. And the best evaluator goes to?
Evaluator goes to Jane.
And drum roll, please. The best speaker goes to? Perfect. Thanks a lot, Scott. With that, I'm going to actually turn this the control back to our president, Rob Ross.
Thank you, Prashant. I see that we're a little over time here, so I'll be super quick. Next week, we will have for our Toastmaster, our theme will be flowers, our Toastmaster will be Ashley, our GE will be myself, our speakers will be Scott Bradley and Portia Halbert and Coco. So we'll have 3 speakers next week. Guests, you are very welcome to come back. Harry, thanks for coming back for a second time. Helen, we hope that you learned some hybrid stuff. You know, feel free to come back again just to see how we do it, because whereas you can tell, we're continually tweaking it to continue improving the experience on both sides, the virtual as well as in person. With that, we do have we have elections coming up. I'm still working on the slate. I will send you guys all a follow-up email because I just don't want to take up any more time in the meeting. Before I let us go, is there any announcements other than that we should address before closing out?
I have one, Rob.
Yes, ma'am.
Please, thank you. I just uploaded a revised timed agenda, which is maybe utilized by the Toastmaster GE team. So it's been updated to the virtual world as well as the table topics being put prior to evaluation. So it's in the chat box now. Go ahead and please download it and use it too. It's really helpful. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Kathy. Yeah, because it makes such a huge difference. Just makes the meeting feel so much better. All right, everyone. We'll have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. And I'm glad to take care, everyone.
Chair, I just wanted to tell you, I put a background to salute you.